Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful sunny Thursday morning, May the 7th, and I missed you yesterday. I know I did post a video about the Rainbow Fish book, but I was having some issue with the memory card in my camera, and I had to go get another one. I don't know, sometimes they just go bad. They get what we call corrupt, and I just couldn't use it anymore. It wouldn't let me download the video. I could see that there was something there, but I wasn't getting a preview of it, and I couldn't download it, so we worked it out. We're back together again today on May 7th. Let's take a look and see what National Day it is today. And I say days because there's always lots of them. Let's see, May the 7th. It's the National Day of Prayer. And it's also the National Day of Reason. I guess that's a good thing, to have a day of reason. It's World Password Day. Passwords is something that either people use all the same one, or they use something that's so confusing they can't remember it. I always keep a list of my passwords because some websites and things like that ask for something special, and I can't use something I normally would, so I have to keep a list of them. What else do we have? National Paste Up Day, which has to do with like typesetting and things like that. If you are a professional printer or if you are somebody that does layout design in a newspaper, National Paste Up Day. National Roast Leg of Lamb Day. I don't know how many of you are going to have roast leg of lamb today. It doesn't seem like a dish for a Thursday. It seems more of maybe a Sunday afternoon dish or something like that. But hear the airplanes. We always have, it's pretty loud. We always have military planes flying over our development. We see them quite often. The other day, when the military planes flew in formation, the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, we did not see them here that day. We weren't in the flight path, but we see military planes almost every day. Let me see National Packaging Design Day. I thought that was kind of interesting. Today is actually my son Jake's 10th birthday, and he likes anime and baseball and things like that, but for anime I got him a subscription to this thing called Crunchyroll. It's where they have a lot of anime that you can watch and things like that. And then I got him a Munchbox. A Munchbox is a box of snacks from all over the world, and one of the things that came in there was this Japanese orange Pepsi. And when I opened it, prior to finding out what day today was, that it was National Product Packaging Day, I saw the label and I was like, wow, that's a really cool looking label. It's much more interesting than the Pepsi labels that we have here in the United States. And then it just happened to kind of coincide with the day, so I thought that was pretty cool. It's a cool label. Well, I know you're not here to talk about National Packaging Day or my son's birthday, so let's get to our book. I've got another sports-related book for you today. It's called Growing Up Pedro, and it's about a real baseball player. It's kind of a biography-type book told in a story-like format, named Pedro Martinez. And he was an amazing pitcher. For most of the people will know him for pitching for the Boston Red Sox. And he also had an older brother who was a professional pitcher. And they originated from the Dominican Republic. And in the Dominican Republic, baseball is a really, really big sport. It's super, super popular there. And a lot of young boys dream of becoming Major League Baseball players. So even if you don't know who Pedro Martinez is or care who Pedro Martinez is, this is still a really nice story about family, about pursuing your goals, about trying as hard as you can. It's really a nice story, even if you're not super interested in baseball or anything like that. It's a great little tale. So I thought it would be a great way to spend some time with you today. So sit back and relax and enjoy Growing Up Pedro by Matt Tavares with me. We'll be back in a little bit. Growing Up Pedro by Matt Tavares. The Dominican Republic, 1981. One sunny day in the village of Mano Gallabo, Pedro Martinez sits in the shade and watches the older boys play. He wants to play too, but his big brother Ramon says he is too little. The boys are using a hardball, and Ramon says it's too dangerous. Pedro is mad, but he knows Ramon is just looking out for him. Ramon is always looking out for Pedro. Despite his anger, Pedro watches Ramon pitch. He is the greatest pitcher Pedro has ever seen. Pedro has 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Ramon, the oldest brother, is the baseball star of the family. Pedro wishes he were tall like Ramon. He wishes he could throw hard like Ramon. He spends hours out behind the little shack where they live throwing rocks at the mango trees. He tries to hit only the ripe ones, just like Ramon taught him. Pedro loves playing baseball. He dreams that someday he and his brothers will play together in the major leagues. At night, they lie awake, 2 to a mattress, and talk about what they will do when they are millionaires. By the time Ramon is 15, he is pitching against grown men in games around Santo Domingo. Sometimes Pedro walks for miles just to watch him pitch. At 16, Ramon is the youngest player on the Dominican national team. The Los Angeles Dodgers offer him a contract. They pay him $5,000. Not much by big league standards, but more money than the Martinez family has ever seen. Ramon uses some of the money to buy his little brother Pedro his first real baseball glove. In 1984, when Pedro is 12, Ramon starts trading at Campo Las Palmas, the Dodgers Dominican Baseball Academy, a 2-hour bus ride from Mano Gallabo. Every chance he gets, Pedro tags along. Sometimes he even gets to play catch with Ramon on the field before practice. For Pedro, it is like a dream. He can't believe he is on a real baseball field with real professional ball players. He is so proud of his big brother. One day, a coach for the Dodgers watches Pedro pitching to Ramon. The coach tells Pedro that if he works hard, maybe someday the Dodgers will sign him too. In 1985, days before his 17th birthday, Ramon leaves for his first season in America. Pedro is so happy for Ramon, but it breaks his heart to see him go. Now that Ramon is gone, Pedro is more determined than ever to make it to the major leagues. Every day he practices and practices. For Ramon, adjusting to life in America is not easy. When his team stops to eat at a restaurant, he doesn't know what to order because all the menus are in English. He can't talk to anyone. Ramon tells Pedro all about it. He wants to make sure that when it's Pedro's turn, his little brother is ready. Pedro keeps practicing, and he starts studying English every day. In 1988, when he is 16, Pedro is back at Campo Las Palmas. He is ready to try out for the Dodgers. Dozens of other boys are trying out too. Most of them are much bigger and stronger than Pedro. He works hard and does his best, but the Dodgers scouts aren't sure. He is still so much smaller than Ramon.
They worry that he just isn't big enough to make it in professional baseball. Finally, after a 30-day tryout, the Dodgers decide to give Pedro a chance. They pay him $6,500. He gives all the money to Ramon. In 1990, the Dodgers assign Pedro to their minor league team in Great Falls, Montana. Pedro says goodbye to his family and leaves for America. By now, Ramon is a star in the big leagues, the ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers. In 1990, he wins 20 games and is the runner-up for the National League Cy Young Award. Some of Pedro's teammates in the minors think Pedro is only there because he is the great Ramon Martinez's little brother. Pedro works hard to prove that he belongs. He keeps working on his English too. During long bus rides, he stares out the window and tries to read every road sign. He learns new words every day. Before long, he can do post-game interviews in English without an interpreter. Pedro races his way up through the Dodgers minor league system. Then, in September 1992, his dream comes true. For the first time in his life, Pedro gets to play on the same team as his big brother. Pedro and Ramon are in the major leagues together. Pedro is so small and skinny that when he arrives at Dodger Stadium, the security guard doesn't believe he is actually on the team. "Hey, who are you?" he asks. Pedro smiles. "I'm the bat boy," he says. The security guard isn't the only one who thinks Pedro is too small. The Dodgers manager, Tommy Lasorda, doesn't think Pedro is big enough to make it as a starting pitcher. So Pedro pitches out of the bullpen and quickly becomes one of the best relievers in the league. After the 1993 season, Pedro gets a call from the general manager of the Dodgers. He can't believe the news. He has been traded to the Montreal Expos. At first, Pedro is devastated. He doesn't want to leave Ramon and move to a new city where he doesn't know anybody. He's worked so hard to learn English, but most people in Montreal speak French. Ramon calms Pedro down. He tells his little brother that maybe this could be good for him. The Dodgers were never going to let him be a starting pitcher. Maybe in Montreal, he'll get his chance. It turns out that Ramon is right. Pedro goes to Montreal in 1994 and immediately joins the starting rotation. Every time he takes the mound, he remembers everyone who doubted him. With every pitch, he tries to prove them wrong. Whenever the Expos play the Dodgers and Ramon pitches against Pedro's new team, Pedro can't help but cheer for his big brother. When his teammates ask him to knock it off, Pedro sneaks down to the clubhouse and watches Ramon on TV. On August 29, 1996, Pedro and Ramon are scheduled to pitch against each other. Pedro does not want to do it. He never wants to root against Ramon. Ramon explains to Pedro that it's just something they've got to do. Pedro and Ramon both pitch well. As Ramon takes the mound in the ninth inning, with the Dodgers leading 2-1, he sees Pedro in the Expos dugout. Pedro smiles, relieved that it's almost over, and happy to lose to his big brother. By 1997, Pedro is the best pitcher in the National League, even better than Ramon. He can throw a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, a curveball that makes hitters' knees buckle, and a changeup that is almost impossible to hit. Pedro is a superstar now. The Expos know they can't afford to pay him, so a week after he wins the 1997 National League Cy Young Award, they trade him to the Boston Red Sox. In December, Pedro flies to Boston and signs a 6-year, $75 million contract with the Red Sox, making him the highest paid baseball player of the time. In the summer of 1998, on days when Pedro pitches, the streets of Boston buzz with anticipation. By game time, Fenway Park is packed. Fans wave Dominican flags and chant his name. Pedro, Pedro, Pedro. But 1998 is not a good year for Ramon. Pitching for the Dodgers on June 14th, he tears a muscle in his shoulder. The team doctor tells him he needs surgery. Ramon worries that he might never pitch again. Pedro tells his big brother not to give up. After his operation on June 30th, Ramon spends the rest of the season working to rebuild the strength in his injured shoulder and watching his little brother on television. On days when it's not his turn to pitch, Pedro never stops talking and dancing and laughing and joking with his teammates. But when it is his turn to pitch, Pedro is very serious. All day, he is quiet and focused. When he takes the mound, he imagines he is a lion fighting for his food. In 1999, Pedro has one of the greatest seasons any pitcher has ever had. He wins 15 games before the All-Star break. He's the starting pitcher in the All-Star game and dazzles the home crowd at Fenway Park by striking out 5 of the 6 batters he faces. Meanwhile, Ramon is working hard to get back on the field. Late in the 1999 season, he makes it all the way back to the major leagues and joins Pedro on the Red Sox. During games, they sit together in the dugout. They coach each other and help each other. With his big brother by his side, Pedro is better than ever. On October 9th, 1999, with the Red Sox facing elimination from the playoffs, Ramon leads the team to victory over the Cleveland Indians to keep Boston's season alive. 2 days later, in the final game of the series, Pedro's right shoulder is so sore he isn't supposed to pitch. But with the score tied 8-8 in the 4th inning, he enters the game. Even though he can't lift his arm up high enough to throw a good fastball, he pitches 6 no-hit innings to send the Red Sox to the American League Championship Series. Back in the Dominican Republic, people dance in the streets. Kids tie scraps of metal to their bikes and ride through the darkness. Sparks light up the night like fireworks. After the season, Pedro celebrates with his family. The little shack is gone now. Pedro and Ramon bought all the land around it and built this special place where the whole family can come together. They call it La Finca, the little farm. After dinner, Pedro and Ramon walk out back to throw rocks at the mango tree. Together, they hit one mango after another. Pedro hits only the ripe ones, just like Ramon taught him.
And we're back. Isn't that fantastic? And the illustrations are absolutely incredible. There's that one that I saw that I just, every time I say, this one right here, when he played for the Montreal Expos. Look at that picture right there. Now, Montreal is in Canada. The Montreal Expos are not a team anymore. There's only one team in Canada still that plays in Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays. We did have an opportunity to go there and see the Toronto Blue Jays play against the New York Yankees one time, and it was really nice to be in Canada and experience a Major League Baseball game there. But the illustrations are just wonderful in here, and the story is absolutely fantastic about how he worked really hard, and he wasn't really big enough. Nobody thought he was really big enough. When he played for the Dodgers, the manager, Tommy Lasorda, was like, this guy is definitely not going to be able to be a starting pitcher. But he kept working and kept perfecting his craft, and he really became one of the best pitchers we've ever seen. You know, there was one quote that they were doing an interview with Pedro at one time, because he was not very well liked by the New York fans. And a reporter asked him how he felt about that, how it was to be like this hated man in New York City. And he was so laid back about it. He's like, listen, when I was a kid, I was sitting in the Dominican Republic underneath a mango tree, with a paper, a cardboard box for a baseball glove, and now I'm the center of attention in New York City. So he was saying, my life was such a simple one, and I really came from a very humble beginning, and now, New York City is kind of worried about me pitching against their team, and I don't have a care in the world. Life is good, and it's not something for me to worry about. I always remember that about Pedro, just thinking my life is beautiful. I don't have time to think about those kind of negative things. I'm just, happy that my life turned out this way, and enjoying myself, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. I thought that was really great. So there you have it, growing up Pedro. And you can make your dreams come true. If there's something that you want to do, doesn't matter where you're beginning from. If you go out there and work hard and you try your absolute best, you're going to get really, really far. Work towards your dreams and work hard every day. Well, tomorrow will be Friday. Got one more book for you. I actually don't know what it's going to be. I've got a pile right over there. I'm going to check them out, and it's going to be a surprise to me as well. So I hope you have an excellent, fantastic Thursday. Get that schoolwork done. Have some fun, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.